just when you thought it was safe to open your podcast app.
Welcome to the Crooked Table Podcast, where we discuss the world of film from a fresh angle. And now your host, Robert Yaniz Jr.
Welcome to the Crooked Table Podcast. This is Rob. On this episode, we're not reviewing a film. We're not discussing a new trailer or a bit of news. We're not even diving deep into one of our Crooked commentary tracks. Instead, I'm here wishing you all a happy International Podcast Day with a brand new episode for the first time in months to announce what I've been calling version 2.0 of the Crooked Table Podcast. So if you've seen the most recent post on crookedtable.com, which I believe is dated August 2nd, and yes, I'm recording this at the very end of September, so it's been a couple months, that post is titled A Crooked Hiatus. So if you've read that, you already have some idea of what I've been up to since the beginning of August. In essence, I decided to take a break from the site and the podcast in general to kind of refocus and refresh my long-term vision for both the site and the podcast. Just Crooked Table as a whole, the brand, I was feeling a little creatively stagnant, and I just needed to take a little time away from it to get some other affairs in order and try and figure out what I want this site, and more specifically this podcast, to be going forward. If you're somebody that listens to, and I'm assuming you are, since you're listening to this, that listens to movie podcasts in general, or it's kind of plugged into the entertainment space, there are a bazillion podcasts out there that focus on movie reviews and chatting about cinema in general. And most of them focus on what's the new release, what are we going to talk about this week, just kind of keeping up to date with the latest that Hollywood has to offer. And I sort of just felt like Crooked Table Podcast had just turned into another one of those, and that it had a little more potential to be something different. And so while I'm still working on some of the additional details, including a newly designed logo for the Crooked Table, crookedtable.com, and the podcast by extension, I pretty much nailed down an updated premise for the Crooked Table Podcast. So I've been saying for a while, you heard it up top at the beginning of the show, that this is the world of film from a fresh angle, and that's kind of been playing off of the site, the name of the site. That's sort of been my my mantra going forward with the Crooked Table Podcast from the beginning. But with this new approach, I really want to take that literally, take that fresh angle concept and expand it out a little bit more. So in the interest of keeping the show's voice not only unified coming from me, and have my as host have my sort of shepherding be the common factor in every episode, I want to bring fresh voices on here. I want it to be different, and I want it to feel like we're hearing from people in a way, either people we haven't heard from before commenting on film, or hear them coming from a specific point of view on a specific topic that you might not hear everyone talking about that exact same week, for example. So every episode, let's break it down. Every episode, I want to have a different guest come on to the show to discuss a film that they love, that means something to them. Now that can be, a film that they grew up with, or something they saw recently that really resonated with them. Whatever the case may be, this would keep the show fresh. It would keep it positive, focusing on movies that that made a difference for the guest in some way, that either they find themselves constantly revisiting, or that they feel a particular kinship with. The whole point of it is that this would celebrate the subjectivity of the movies. What makes cinema and any other art form so satisfying and so discussion worthy is that it's really all about subjectivity. So, I mean, you've seen this. Look at the Last Jedi controversy over the last year or so, and everybody kind of very passionate on both sides. This is the worst thing ever. It's destroyed Star Wars, or this is the best Star Wars movie of all time, or like up there in the conversation at least. And I think that it's easy now to get lost in that divisiveness, in the negativity, in the baseless criticisms of this is my opinion and therefore this is law. And I really don't want Crooked Table Podcast to fall into that trap. So with this, by bringing new voices on, I would like to focus on the the fact that this film means something to this guest, whether I agree with it or not. The idea with this concept would be to have a respectful conversation about that film and about our the guest and I would compare notes on what that film means to us, when we saw it, kind of reviewing it, but from a both more specific point of view as far as the guest, because they would be the ones choosing the film in question. I didn't mention that part of it yet, I guess. And if it's a movie I haven't seen, I would be coming to it from the, again, fresh angle. So it'd be a new voice plus two separate perspectives on a given film in general. So since every film speaks to each person differently, that would kind of would keep the show different every week, and you wouldn't really exactly know what the dynamic is going to be. It wouldn't just be me and Kai or me and Freddie or me by myself. It would be new people coming in that we haven't heard from. So moreover, the fresh angle could be both ways in that way with both me and the guest. And I actually already have built a survey that's on the site. You can see it if you go to crookedtable.com, it's on every page. It should be off to the right side at the very top, where you can fill out a survey. And this is open to film critics, professional film critics. If you are like me and you've written reviews, or you have a podcast of your own, or if you're just a fan of film in general and you want a chance to come on here, I'm opening this up to everybody that wants to join the Crooked Table podcast and have their voice heard and contribute to this. I think it would be interesting the more diverse voices we get on here. So I already built the site. I already built the survey. It's on the site off to the right, and you can apply for this. Just ask. It's just I think 10 questions or so. Just kind of give me a little more information on who you are, your connection to the industry, if you're a fan, if you're a critic, whatever. The film that you'd want to review, why, and then anything else you'd like mentioned on the show, that kind of thing. It should take max of 2 minutes. So you can see that on crookedtable.com, and that's there already on the site, as I mentioned. And I just really want to democratize the podcast experience. I think so many podcasts you hear from the host or hosts, as more commonly the case may be, alone, and I really want to use this as a chance to connect with other movie fans and get as many voices heard as possible. It'll be really interesting if we get somebody on there who wants to talk about a film that I do not care for at all, and that would maybe it'll open my eyes to a film that I didn't appreciate before, like one of the Transformers films or something like that. And kind of, even if I don't agree with their perspective, it'll give me sort of a new insight into the appeal of that particular film or that director or whatever. So just giving everyone a voice to talk about the movies that they're passionate about. I already said I think this is really important given the current cultural landscape, politically and socially and artistically, everything. Everybody's so, critics and fans coming from a different perspective, and I think that this would really kind of unify that, since I think everyone has something worth saying when it comes to the art of film that ostensibly we're all here to celebrate and not tear down. So I consider myself a fan and a critic, so I think that it should be an interesting way to kind of bridge that gap, so to speak. I'm still planning on including episodes of the Crooked Table podcast that review brand new films, crooked commentary tracks like the most recent one that Kai and I did on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, possibly best ofs like the one that we recently did about the best films of our favorite films of 1998. I still want to do 1999 probably after the first of the year, kind of looking back 20 years on that. I still like doing crooked detours, talking about music or television or other entertainment projects that I've enjoyed, and all that stuff would still want to keep in the mix, probably more as bonus episodes or possibly down the line as exclusive content for Patreon users, and just so don't think that you're never going to hear me talk about Venom or Star Wars Episode 9 or whatever. Like I very much will still record those, but it won't be as much me trying to scrounge around. Oh, what's the big movie to come out this weekend? Oh, this Tyler Perry movie, or this Liam Neeson action film. It won't be like as random. Just I won't be feeling the necessity of scrounging around to find a new film to review every week, but I could still have the freedom to, if it's one of particular note, to jump on here and share my thoughts either by myself, with Kai, with a guest, etc., etc. So that's kind of what I'm thinking as far as Crooked Table Podcast Volume 2.0. As I said, the survey is off to the right on the site if you just go to crookedtable.com. And I'm looking into adding more features to kind of streamline the design of the site a little bit, doing the logo like I mentioned, that kind of thing. So my expected launch date for the new version of the podcast is probably December or January. I've made the mistake in the past of kind of relying on doing last-minute recordings, which is why the posting of episodes has been kind of inconsistent as far as the day that it's posted, or as far as the regularity of getting one posted every week. And I've kind of been very hit and miss with that in the past, and I'm trying to make up for that. And I think recording or having a concept for the show that doesn't rely constantly on new releases, where it could be looking back at a movie from 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, depending what the guest chooses. I think that would open it up a lot, where I can really nail down more of a regular schedule and stick to it in addition to all the other work and other stuff I have going on. So planning on banking some episodes this fall between this recording and the next one that you hear, which, like I said, will probably be December or January, to kind of get the show off to a good start, to have some conversations in the can already, hopefully edited and everything, so that I can schedule those and parse them out going forward. I still want to stick with posting an episode a week. That will likely be in addition to bonus episodes. I would probably just want to have the regular with the new concept and looking at Monday specifically, every Monday, and then maybe on a Friday, Saturday, or whatever, I'll see a film and then I'll just jump on here for 20 minutes or whatever and give my thoughts on it. You can also find me on the Stardust app if you want. I've been doing those videos. That's kind of been the only movie reviews I've been doing right now since I've been on this, as I called it, Crooked Hiatus at this point. So if you want to be considered to be part of the first batch of episodes for the Crooked Table Podcast 2.0, send me an email at robert@crookedtable.com if you have any questions about this, or just fill out the survey on the website at crookedtable.com. If you want to stay up to date when the show does return, be sure to subscribe to the Crooked Table Podcast. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and elsewhere. I'm looking into expanding out where the podcast is posted. You can also consider contributing to our Patreon page at patreon.com/crookedtable. I think it'll probably be more attractive to do so once we're actually posting new episodes again. But you can also, you're welcome to donate in the meantime. You can also rate and review the Crooked Table Podcast on iTunes to help others find the show. Find me, Robert Yaniz Jr., on Twitter at Crooked Table. Of course, you can find more podcasts, reviews, videos, and other movie-related goodies at crookedtable.com. I'll see you guys in a few months with a brand new version of the Crooked Table Podcast. Until then, I've been Rob. Roll credits.
This has been a production of crookedtable.com. All rights reserved.
CROOKED.